Uhuru Sasa, which means freedom now in Kiswahili, and that's spoken by about 200 million people worldwide. And joining us on the line from his home in you're near Hull, Quebec, right? Hull.
Yeah, Hull, Gatineau.
Okay.
Hull, Gatineau.
Hull, Gatineau. Yeah, that was. I've been there. It's a nice spot. We're joined by Jean-Jacques Jafrikayiti, and we're going to be speaking about the Haitian Revolution and other related items. And there was a significant event that took place in Haiti on November 18th, 1863. And I'm going to let Melinda take over now and begin the interview.
Yeah, it was the Bataille de Vertières, and it was 1803, and then independence was in 1804 January. So yeah, maybe tell listeners a little bit about that battle, then we could get into it.
Well, greetings, Melinda. Greetings, Norman and Mali, and all of your listeners. Thank you for having me again on the show. November 18th, 1803 is the battle when the army of France, led by the brother-in-law of Napoleon Bonaparte, first, it was Leclerc, and then who was replaced by Rochambeau. The general gave up and capitulated and signed to give up the fight against the revolted Africans and let the General Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who was leader of the Africans, take control of the island. And so this meant evacuation of the French who wanted to live with the French army, and therefore opened the way for not only the declaration of Haiti as an independent state, but the beginning of the end of racial slavery in the Americas. As you know, at the time, Jamaica was stolen by the British, and all of the area was with slave economies, whether it is the Spaniards who stole Borican, which they renamed Puerto Rico, or Cuba, also stolen by the Spanish. And so Haiti became the oasis of freedom in the Caribbean. And the Africans were very busy doing family reunification because many of the African families were disrupted with children, family members sold to other slavers on neighboring islands, or even in Canada and the United States. And so November 18th is a great celebration. The battle took place at the entrance of the second largest city of the country, which is Cap-Haïtien, and the area is called Vertières. And there were some very significant events in terms of how this battle took place, and that makes it a very famous victory on the part of Haiti. So really, it's the battle that led, that was the final battle, basically, to lead to the declaration of Haitian independence on January 1st, 1804.
You are listening to Diasporic Music on Black Bar 96. And how did C.L.R. James's book Black Jacobin, how did he cover that event? And if he did, because I think some people said that he was very hard on Dessalines. He portrayed some people have problems with the way C.L.R. James portrayed Dessalines And this battle, how do you rate him on that question?
Well, I mean, of course, you cannot escape the fact that this was a victory for Dessalines. And so even Haitian writers who are also very, I guess, harsh on Dessalines. That's the softest way I could say it, because the reality is they played the same card on Dessalines that they played on Malcolm X or on Winnie Madikileza Mandela. And this is very difficult to discuss in a brief interview, but it's a pattern where white supremacy, which influenced the thinking not only of white writers, but also of people who grew up in the colonial space, including C.L.R. James, and all of us are affected by the environment. Often we tend to take the Western chosen heroes of our people. And this is always done at the expense of someone else. So I mentioned the dichotomy between Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King is good, Malcolm X is bad, Nelson Wolilala Mandela is good, his wife Winnie Madikileza Mandela is bad. And in the case of Haiti, Toussaint Louverture is the guy, he's the hero, he's everything, and Dessalines is presented as a brute. But in all of these cases, what you see is that the person who is despised and maligned and written all kinds of foul things about him, it's because they have taken a stance that is harsher with regards to white supremacy, saying that no, there is no space for compromise with barbarians. And so, unfortunately, C.L.R. James is bound to have, eulogized Toussaint Louverture at the expense of Dessalines. But in reality, this is a false conflict. Just like Malcolm and Dr. King worked together and understood that they each played separate roles in the liberation of the people of Africa in the Americas, likewise on the island of Haiti. What Dessalines was able to accomplish was because he was a witness to how, despite all of his efforts that Toussaint Louverture had taken to make the whites comfortable and try to convince them that, it's better for them to try to live as human beings on the island and behave and civilize themselves, that they still betrayed Toussaint Louverture. Toussaint Louverture was not there when Haiti won this battle because the French managed to, take him in a trap. They entrapped him in May 1802, and then he died in a French dungeon on April 7th, 1803. And so Dessalines understood that there was no way you can trust any of the militaries of Europe that were in the area. Not the French, not the Spaniards, not the British. And so he led a full-fledged battle against all of them and won. And so because of that, white supremacy would never forgive Dessalines. And unfortunately, like I said, even Black writers, even writers that, would see themselves as revolutionary, tend to fall in the trap of looking at the history of our people with the glasses of white supremacy. Dessalines, for instance, would be accused of having indiscriminately killed the whites off of the island, which is not true. Okay? I mean, it's almost as if for 300 years, the Europeans were giving massage to the Africans, and the Africans, being ungrateful, murdered them. No, that's not what happened. It's actually the opposite. We had done everything to, compromise and help the Europeans, adopt a different way of production on the island, and they proved themselves to be unable, just like it happened in South Africa, right? After the Africans did everything to make the Europeans comfortable in South Africa, they still, found that, it wasn't enough. And so in the case of Dessalines, he decided that the French had to be fought with as much ferocity as they had displayed against us. And so, yes, there were many French who were killed. The French army, the French expedition they sent to Haiti to reinstate slavery in 1803 was the largest ever sent to the Americas by Napoleon Bonaparte. It was 60,000 of the best soldiers of Europe at the time. And yes, a number of them were killed because the Africans were not fighting to steal gold or oil as is fashionable these days. They were fighting for something that was more precious, that is human dignity, something that the Europeans were not capable of understanding. And so that's the reality. The British also lost 55,000 soldiers on the island of Haiti because they also were enslavers and had their eyes on the island and wanted to steal it. And it is the ferocity, the determination of the Africans. And I use the word Africans because these days they are encouraging people to wave flags and, as if, the Africans who were enslaved on the island of Haiti were different than the ones who were enslaved in Brazil or in Guadeloupe, in Martinique, in Jamaica, in Trinidad. No, we were all Africans with no lands of our own. And in fact, for Dessalines to win that victory in 1803, there were Africans who had left the island of Guadeloupe, where Delgrès and the others were fighting, who came and warned us that the French had reinstated slavery in Martinique and Guadeloupe, and those who were in that ship, La Cocarde, did the ultimate sacrifice in fighting, and they died in Haiti fighting. And so, oftentimes people talk about the Haitians as if we are special, we are different. No, we are from the same family, and it just so happens that the demographics were different on our island. There were more Africans. When you look at the ratio of Africans to Europeans, that's what made it possible for the revolution to be successful in Haiti and not in Brazil or not in Suriname and other places where Africans also revolted.
You're listening to Diasporic music on Black Power 96. I'm going to throw you a curve, and this is, I don't want to take away from the seriousness of this interview, but there was a man by the name of Andrew Hill, a great pianist, and he could not make it in. When I say he couldn't really get arrested in the beginning, and he basically went back and told the story. Pardon me, that he was not an American Negro. He was not born in Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. He was actually born in Haiti, and it worked. Yeah, Andrew Hill. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to search that. I didn't know about the story. Andrew Hill, okay. I'll check it out.
And Andrew Hill, great pianist, great. It was great, yeah. Oh, and he played with Andrew Cyril. You remember Andrew Cyril? Who was a Haitian avant-garde jazz player. He played with Cecil Taylor and Archie Shepp and people like that.
Okay.
And Andrew Sherrill, right? I'm probably mispronouncing his name, right?
Yeah. Well, our people, sometimes it's not spoken enough, even at the time of disasters hitting the Caribbean. People talk about, Melissa, for instance, having caused all of this havoc, as if it happened on one island and not on the other one. We are all family. and we have learned to survive together over the years. Unfortunately, not enough effort is deployed to maintain those links and this understanding of the family. And so, yeah, sometimes you hear about the Haitian immigrant who founded the city of Chicago and things like that. But it's much more than that. And it has always been that we influenced each other and came to the support and the rescue of our people.
You're listening to Diasporic Music on Black Power 96. You have some more questions, I know, Melinda.
Yeah, I wanted to, touch on, bring it to fast forward to today. We haven't had you on for a while. And you mentioned Melissa. How has that complicated, the devolving situation that's happening in present day Haiti?
Well, I would say Melissa offered another opportunity to see what the fundamental problem is in Haiti. That is the fact that Haitians are not running the country. There is no presence of a Haitian state. And it's not because the Haitians did not establish a state, but that Haitian state has been fought by the enemies of our nation from the very beginning. And to the present time, we haven't gathered enough strength to regain control and reestablish our state. For instance, although the direct hit of the hurricane was on the island of Jamaica and its tail that went over Haiti, there were more people killed in Haiti than in Jamaica. Okay, and part of that has to do with the lack of preparation against the storm, but also the fact that the country is currently occupied by the U.S. government. I know that, in news reports, people will put water in their mouth, as we say in Haiti, to try to tell you otherwise, and that's all crap, okay? There is no Haitian president right now. The folks that are being presented as members of an electoral transition council, they were handpicked by United States diplomats and diplomats from Canada and Europe within a group thing they call the core group, just like they created the Lima group when they were trying, and as they are still trying to overthrow the real government of Venezuela and put puppets there that are going to be subservient to white supremacy and imperialism. That what they're trying to do to Venezuela is what they've already done to Haiti. The last real Haitian government was overthrown in 2004 when a group of white invaders got into the residence of the president, kidnapped him and his wife, and flew them to exile in Africa. And it's not a coincidence that they went to the Central African Republic, where the French had a puppet named François Bocissé, who was then the head of the Central African Republic. And the plan, according to some historians, was that they were going to try to kill President Aristide there, and he was rescued by activists such as our beloved brother Danny Glover, Maxine Waters, who flew him to the Caribbean, to the island of Jamaica, where they reunited with their two daughters, and then they went on to exile in South Africa. Since then, President Aristide had returned to Haiti in 2011 and is running a university that is, doing amazing work in Haiti. However, we don't have a state. And because we're still dealing with puppet regimes that are put in place by what I call the diplomatic skinheads, That is, people such as the Canadian ambassador to Haiti, the French ambassador to Haiti. These white men and women sit down and they make decisions, and they do not need to live the consequences of their decisions. Part of their decisions is to put in power a set of criminals, thieves, who deal away with billions of dollars of what was called the Petrocaribe Fund, which was established by our late brother Hugo Chavez, the president of Venezuela, which allowed many countries in the region to have access to capital to build their infrastructures, etc. In the case of Haiti, unfortunately, the thief, Michel Martelly, that Hillary Clinton imposed on us as president, stole much of that money. And that money is now in the US economy, in the economy of Panama, and all kinds of other places where they hide the stolen loot. It's also in Canada, as we have found many of these thieves from that regime have but mentions in Laval, Montreal, etc. And all of this is known, documented. Unfortunately, when you watch the news, they never discuss those type of things, but rather they use racist rhetoric to tell you that, well, the Haitians have never been able to govern themselves, so this is just what's happening. Now, in 2025, we cannot remain with this lazy rhetoric. It's understood that what's happening in Haiti is the same thing that happened to the Congo after the white supremacist forces murdered the prime minister of the country that was chosen by the people of the Congo, and then they imposed the dictator, and that dictator was, of course, subservient to the imperialists and did exactly what they wanted him to do, that is, to take the resources of the country and deprive the people of them and share it with the thieves, the multinational corporations coming from Belgium and France and Canada, the United States, etc. So to make it short, another symptom beside what Melissa did in Haiti in the last few weeks is the qualification of the Haitian national team when during those games of preparation, none of the home games were played in Haiti. Why? Because the criminals that they've put in place in Haiti, that is, when I say they, I mean the CIA, the US government, and Canada, unfortunately, as well, participating in that, they wanted to stop the people from clamoring and demonstrating, wanting a trial of the thieves that did away with the Petrocaribe Fund. So their solution was to establish what they are calling gangs that are really militias, paramilitary militias linked to the regime, the PHTK regime of Michel Martelly. And so these gangs have been on a rampage in the country for the past 5 years and more. And now the imperialists are proposing as a solution that they invade Haiti to fight the gangs. The same scenario that they have proposed for the Sahel region in Africa. They create those Islamist jihadists who are attacking the north of Burkina Faso, of Mali, of Niger, of Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and then they're arming them with weapons that are coming from Europe and North America and Israel. And then now they're telling you, oh, we want to help you fight the terrorists. And then what the Africans have understood in the Sahel countries is that, no, the problem is the Europeans, and we're going to chase them, and then we'll fight the Islamists. And, they found they've been making a lot of success since they kicked the French out of these countries in Africa. And Haiti is finding itself in the same situation. The primary thing right now is to get rid of the core group, the United States, Canada, France, all of these people who are making political decisions in Haiti so that Haitians can live with the consequences of their own decisions. It's one thing to be suffering poverty and all kinds of problems because that, you're facing problems of that are normal, And it's another thing when it's a foreign power that is imposing those conditions on you. Today, the people of the United States are living the consequences of their choice of president. We would like to also live the consequences of our own choices in Haiti.
You are listening to Diasporic music on Black Power 96. We have about 5 minutes left. You have some more questions, Melinda?
I don't know if we have enough time, and I wanted for you to plug your shows and stuff, but I just wanted to touch base about, sort of the regional, you could call them stooges, who, when we go back to 2004, where, like things were manufactured in Ottawa, this new iteration was manufactured in Jamaica. So I just wanted to, you to touch base on like how important that we kind of, collectively take these governments to task regionally.
Yes, well, that's a huge question, and perhaps others who are more knowledgeable can help clarify. But CARICOM, which is the regional organization in the Caribbean, is a key player there. And as I've mentioned before, it is sad that many of our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean don't understand that what they are doing to Haiti is exactly what they're going to do to you. In Barbados, in Jamaica, in Trinidad, that's what is up. And so CARICOM betrayed Haiti again. And, we cannot be constantly singing Haiti, I'm sorry, like David Rudder, okay? The problem is CARICOM had the opportunity to, I understand, countries of the Caribbean have very fragile economies, they have to be careful, but they've used CARICOM as a stooge for blackface imperialism. And brothers like David Commission, who is the Bajan ambassador to CARICOM, whom I've met before, and I know he's very sensitive to the question of reparations, etc. We need to understand that, it's not sufficient for us to know the history of our ancestors. We have to be courageous when it is required and stand up to the white supremacists, not just the obvious ones who are in Washington, D.C., but the smiling ones who are in Ottawa as well. And unfortunately, the region, I haven't found that leadership that is required. And of course, Haiti is chiefly responsible for producing people of character who are able to stand up to imperialism, and we haven't produced the men and women who are required to do it. However, it's important for us to understand that we cannot do this alone or in isolation. We have to do it together so that the people of Jamaica, the Black people of Jamaica, can enjoy the beaches of Jamaica, because otherwise they're going to do the same thing to all of us. That is, we're going to be the people serving coffee, people serving cocoa milk, serving conch on the beaches for the Jeffrey Epsteins who are coming from Europe and North America. This is not why our ancestors fought. They fought so that we can establish tout moun c'est moun. That is, every human is nothing more, nothing less but human. That's the ideal of the Haitian Revolution. It wasn't so that we can brag every November 18. It's so that these Black children and boys and girls can see Wakanda not as fiction, but as reality in their lives, so they can live prosperous and beautiful lives in the Caribbean.
We can't follow that, sir. I think we'll have to bring you back
Yeah,
sooner
and
than
just before we leave, just plug your shows that you have. I know you have.
Yes, I have a show in English every Wednesday on my YouTube channel. You get to it by typing Jafrikayiti. It is spelled with a Jafrikayiti. You can get to my website faster by typing godisnotwhite.com. That's the title of my show every Wednesday at 7. God is Not White. It deals with how people of African descent are dealing with Judeo-Christianity in the era where a number of us refuse to continue to worship white Jesus.
white Jesus is not our Duduwa, right?
Ibobo.
Yes, sir.
We'll bring you on again. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me, brothers and sisters.
You're welcome, sir. Take care. And stay tuned for the Jazz Zone with T in Providence. And following the Jazz Zone, you will hear Professor Dr.